Listen to me. I don't know who told you life was supposed to be easy. I don't know who lied to you and said success was gonna just knock on your door one day and say, here I am. No, that's not how this works. You sitting there complaining about how hard it is, how tired you are, how life ain't fair. Let me ask you something. Is complaining changing anything? Is it putting money in your bank account? Is it healing your heart? Is it building your dream? No, it's not. Complaining doesn't change your situation. It doesn't put food on your table. It doesn't move the needle. It doesn't build the dream, grow the business, or improve your life. What it does is drain your energy, cloud your perspective, and trap you in the same cycle you say you want to break free from. It gives you just enough satisfaction to feel like you're doing something while actually doing nothing. It tricks you into thinking that talking about the problem is the same as doing something about the problem. And that lie is what keeps most people stuck. The truth is, we live in a world where it's become normal to complain. Social media, group chats, office breaks. Complaining is the currency of the frustrated. People trade stories about how bad things are, how unfair life is, how someone else has it better, easier, or more convenient. But let me ask you something. After you complain, what actually changes? What is your venting session fixed? Are the bills paid? Is the situation resolved? Is your goal any closer? The answer is no. See, complaining is easy. It's safe. You don't have to risk anything when you complain. You don't have to show up early, stay late, take action, or face your fears. You just speak. You release the pressure without doing the work. But growth doesn't happen in comfort, and nothing significant comes from doing what's easy. The people who get ahead in life aren't the ones who never face hardship. They're the ones who refuse to waste time complaining about it. They look at the pain, the pressure, the chaos, and say, all right, let's figure this out. When you complain, you're focusing on what you don't have. You're locking your attention on the lack, the obstacle, the injustice. But energy flows where attention goes. So the more you complain, the more you reinforce what's wrong. The more you talk about being tired, the more exhausted you feel. The more you talk about being broke, the more powerless you feel. And before long, you build a reality that revolves entirely around the problem rather than the solution. Not every minute you spend complaining is a minute you could have spent creating. A minute you could have used to learn a new skill. Take a small action. Shift your mindset. Reach out for help. Or even just breathe and refocus. Time doesn't stop when things get hard. It doesn't pause while you vent. The clock keeps ticking, and every second you spend focused on the problem instead of the solution is a second lost forever. Some people complain as a way to connect. It becomes their identity. It becomes the thing they bond over with others. Misery loves company, and nothing builds shallow connection faster than shared bitterness. But connection built on pain instead of purpose doesn't last. It just keeps both people stuck. If your circle is full of complainers, you better check yourself, because you might be the one holding the match while your potential burns to the ground. And don't mistake complaining for being real. There's a difference between being honest about your struggle and constantly broadcasting your frustration with no intention of changing anything. Realness doesn't mean marinating in negativity. Realness means recognizing your situation and your power to transform it. Realness means saying, yes, this is tough, but I'm tougher. You don't get stronger by talking about what's heavy. You get stronger by lifting it. You don't become a better version of yourself by rehearsing the problem. You evolve by stepping into the fire and doing what needs to be done, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's scary. You grow by owning your experience, not complaining about it. People will say, but I'm just expressing my emotions. That's fine. You're allowed to feel. You're human. But there's a difference between expressing and obsessing. There's a difference between acknowledging your emotions and giving them the wheel. You can feel disappointment, frustration, anger, but don't live there. Don't build a home in that space. Feel it, process it, then get back to work. There's also a difference between talking through your challenges with the intention to understand and solve them and complaining just to offload blame. The first one leads to clarity. The second leads to nowhere. If your words aren't fueling your progress, they're feeding your paralysis. That complaining is passive. It makes you a bystander in your own life. It said, Seth, this is happening to me and there's nothing I can do. That mindset is dangerous because when you start believing that your circumstances have more power than your choices, you give up. You surrender to average. You convince yourself that this is just the way things are and you stop fighting for better. You might be going through hell right now. You might be exhausted under pressure and completely overwhelmed. I get it, but that still doesn't give complaining any power to help you. If anything, now is the time to double down on action. Now is the time to rise. Use the frustration as fuel. Use the struggle as a signal. It's trying to teach you something. Listen, learn, move, babe. Some of the greatest breakthroughs come right after people decide they're done complaining. That moment of clarity when they stop pointing fingers and start taking ownership, that's when change happens. When change happens. Because as long as you're waiting for something outside of you to change, you've already lost. Real power is when you decide, and no matter what's happening around me, I will show up. I will do what I can with what I have, where I am. People who stop complaining and start building, those are the ones who rise. Those are the ones who create. Those are the ones who inspire. And you can be one of them. Pain and pressure lead to growth. That's not a theory, that's a law of life. Anything that gets stronger must go through resistance. Muscles don't grow unless you put them under stress. Trees don't sink deep roots unless the wind shakes them. Diamonds don't form unless they're crushed under intense heat and pressure. You want to grow, you want to rise, you want to evolve, then you better learn how to face the pain and stand in the pressure. Because that's where the next version of you is born. But too many people treat pain like a stop sign. They hit a rough patch, they get uncomfortable, and immediately they start backing off, shutting down, looking for an easier path. They say things like, it's too hard, it's too hard. I don't know if I'm cut out for this, or maybe it's not meant to be. That's not truth talking, that's fear. It's weakness trying to convince you to settle. But if you listen to that voice every time it gets hard, you'll never get past average. You'll never reach your full potential because you'll keep bailing right when the growth is about to happen. There's something powerful that happens when you learn how to sit with pain instead of running from it. Most people are so quick to escape. They distract themselves with entertainment, numb themselves with comfort, blame others for their situation, and complain about how unfair life is. Oh, but none of that changes anything. In fact, it just guarantees that they'll stay stuck in the same cycles. But the ones who rise, the ones who become great, they look pain in the eye and say, let's go. They don't fear it. They use it. They mine the lessons from it. They let it shake them, not break them. That growth is not pretty. It's not Instagram worthy all the time. It's long nights, early mornings, uncertainty, sweat, tears, sacrifice. It's losing friends who don't get your grind. It's walking alone when no one believes in you yet. It's investing time, money, energy, and still not seeing results right away. That's pressure. That's pain. But it's also progress. Because every day you choose to keep moving in spite of it, you are building something invisible inside of you. Discipline, character, resilience, belief, but those things, they're more valuable than talent. Talent without pressure is soft. Gifted people who never struggle usually don't last because the first time they hit a real wall, they fold. People who've been through fire, they don't scare easy. They don't quit when life punches them. They built muscle where others only had potential. They built endurance, not just excitement. There's something about pressure that exposes the truth. When life squeezes you, what's really inside you comes out. You'll find out if your commitment is real or just a cute idea. You'll find out if your passion is deep or just hype. You'll find out if your dream is just talk or if you're willing to bleed for it. Pressure reveals. It peels back the surface and shows you who you really are. And that's a gift. Because once you know you can build from there, you can train the weak spots, you can sharpen your mindset, you can level up your grind. Some people say they want to grow, but they only mean it when things are going smooth. They want the results, but not the resistance. But life doesn't work like that. You don't get to skip the struggle. You don't get to bypass the pain. There's no growth without a process, and there's no process without discomfort. You have to pay the price. You have to earn the strength. You have to embrace the challenge. Pressure also brings clarity. It shows you what really matters. When you're under stress, the distractions fall away. You stop chasing everything and you start focusing on what's truly important. Pain simplifies things. You realize what you're willing to suffer for. You realize what you care about enough to keep fighting for, even when it's hard. And that clarity, that's powerful. That's focus. That's direction. Most of the things you're praying for, hoping for, dreaming about, those things live on the other side of discomfort. They live in a space where most people quit. But if you can push through, if you can endure the temporary pain, you unlock permanent transformation. And not just in your circumstances, but in who you are. You become someone different, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who doesn't fold when life gets hard. Think about the people you admire, the ones who inspire you. Do you think they got there without pain, without struggle, without pressure? No, they were forged in it. They earned their growth. They paid the price. And you can too. But you gotta stop running from what hurts. You've gotta stop wishing for ease and start developing strength. That pain will come. That's not up for debate. But what you do with it is your choice. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. You can use it as an excuse, or you can use it as fuel. Either way is coming. Life will test you. People will doubt you. Plans will fall apart. Things won't always go the way you thought. But in that pressure is your opportunity. In that pain is your next level. And if you learn how to respond, if you learn how to endure, there's nothing life can throw at you that you can't overcome. Time is not the problem. Discipline. Every single person on this planet gets the same 24 hours in a day. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, successful or struggling. No. Time is the one thing we all have in common. But if that's true, why do some people make massive progress while others stay stuck year after year? Why do some people seem to accomplish more in a week than others do in a month? The answer is in luck. It is in connections. It is in talent. It's discipline. You can't keep blaming time when what you're really lacking is structure. You say you don't have time, but you've got time to scroll. You got time to binge watch shows, get caught in drama, sit in indecision, and overthink everything. The problem is not that you don't have enough hours. The problem is that you're not taking control of the ones you do have. Until you start mastering your time will keep mastering you. Discipline is the bridge between what you want and what you get. It's what turns intention into execution. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to get in shape, start the business, level up, make more money, live a better life. But not everybody is willing to show up for it daily. Discipline is showing up when the feeling is gone. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you're tired, bored, frustrated, or uninspired. It's not about being perfect, it's about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You don't need more motivation. You need more habits. Motivation is loud, but discipline is quiet. Motivation shows up when things are exciting. Discipline stays when everything's boring. Motivation is about how you feel. Discipline is about what you do. It's your habits that shape your future, not your feeling. The successful aren't made in the moments they feel good. They're made in the moments they choose to do what's right, even when it's hard. Look at your schedule. Look at how you spend your morning, your nights, your weekends. If you're honest with yourself, you'll see that the time is there. You just haven't claimed it. The same hours you waste on entertainment could be invested in education. The same minutes you waste overthinking could be spent executing. But until you get serious about your time, your life will stay on repeat. You will keep circling the same mountain, wondering why nothing's changing. Discipline is freedom. That might sound strange, but it's the truth. When you have discipline, you take control of your life. You're not a slave to every emotion, distraction, or urge. You don't need someone else to keep you in line. You don't need a deadline breathing down your neck. You lead yourself. You trust yourself. You trust yourself. That's power. Because when you know you'll do as you said you would do, regardless of how you feel, that's when momentum kicks in. That's when results start stacking up. The people you admire, they're not superhuman. They just make decisions daily that you make occasionally. They prioritize different things. They manage their time with intention. They don't wait to feel like it. They don't wait for the perfect circumstances. They build systems, routines, and mindsets that help them push forward no matter what. And you can do the same. But it starts with discipline. That time doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't wait for you to get it together. It just keeps moving. And if you don't move with it, you get left behind. Years pass in a blink. Dreams die in slow motion. You wake up one day and realize you've been saying that next year for the past 5 years. The only way to change that is to stop negotiating with yourself. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop wasting time explaining your potential and start proving it with your actions. Discipline looks boring to the undisciplined. It's waking up early, sticking to schedule, saying no when it's easier to say yes, sacrificing temporary comfort for long-term growth. It's doing the reps when no one's watching. It's learning when others are sleeping. It's turning off the noise so you can focus on the signal. And the ones who build that lifestyle are the ones who win. Not because they had more time, but because they had more control over how they used it. You keep saying you don't have time, but the truth is you haven't made time. And that's the difference. Time doesn't appear. You have to carve it out. You have to fight for it. That might mean cutting distractions. That might mean turning down invites. That might mean waking up before the sun or staying up late to chase your goal. You might not be able to control everything in your life, but you can control your discipline. You can control how you show up in the hours you do have. There's no magic clock. There's no magic clock. There's no perfect schedule. You just have to commit. You have to say, I'm done wasting time. I'm done making excuses. I'm done living below my potential, and then prove it. Not once, not twice, but every single day. Because the results you want are built by the hours you're ignoring. And the version of you you're trying to become isn't waiting for more time. They're waiting for you to use the time you've already got. Excuses are the enemy of success. They sound reasonable. They feel justified, but they hold you back from becoming who you're meant to be. Excuses are the stories we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility. They're the shield we hide behind when the pressure gets heavy, when the path gets tough, when we don't want to face the truth that our progress is in our hands. Every time you make an excuse, you build a wall between where you are and where you could be. People don't realize that excuses are seductive. They sound like protection, but they're actually poison. They keep you comfortable but small. They wrap you up in a blanket of safety while robbing you of your drive. You convince yourself you can't, or it's not the right time, or you're waiting for something to change. But deep down, you know it's not about the timing or the circumstances, it's about the commitment. It's about whether you're willing to face the discomfort of growth instead of the comfort of excuses. The thing about excuses, they're easy to find. If you want one, you'll always find one. There's always going to be something you don't have, something in your way, some reason why it's not your fault. But the problem is, excuses don't change your results. They don't build your future. They don't get you paid, respected, or fulfilled. They only keep you stuck. You might feel better in the moment, but your life stays exactly the same. No further, no progress. Just more rationalizing, more delaying. More the same cycle that excuses are clever. They sound like logic. I'm too tired. I don't have the time. I don't know where to start. But here's the truth. There are people with less time, less energy, and fewer resources doing the thing you keep talking about. Why? Because they chose action over excuses. Because they realize that you can't win and make excuses at the same time. One will cancel out the other. Excuses are comfortable lies, but comfort is where dreams go to die. If you only move when it's easy, you'll never go far. If you only take action when everything lines up perfectly, you'll never start. The people who create success, the people who build greatness, they don't live by excuses. They live by decisions. They don't wait until they feel ready. They act now and figure it out along the way because they understand that momentum comes from movement, not from perfect conditions. When you live by excuses, you give your power away. You make yourself a victim of the situation instead of the master of your direction. You keep waiting for someone to come rescue you, for life to hand you a break, for someone else to make it easier. But no one is coming, and that's not a bad thing. That's the truth that sets you free. Because once you stop blaming, you can start building. Once you stop making excuses, you can start making moves. Excuses are the language of limitation. They shrink your identity. Every time you say, I can't, or I'm not good at that, or it's just how I've always been, you reinforce the cage around your potential. You lock yourself into a story that keeps you average. But the truth is, you can change, you can grow, you can learn. but only when you stop defending your limits and start demanding more from yourself. That excuses love comparison. You look at someone else's success and say, yeah, but they had help, or they had more money, or they didn't have to deal with what I've been through. But comparison is a trap, and excuses are its best friend. You don't know someone else's full story. You don't know their pain, their grind, their sacrifices, and even if they had advantages, that doesn't mean you can't rise. It just means your path is different, not impossible. Different doesn't mean doom. It means you got to want it more. That excuses are contagious. If you hang around people who always blame the system, the boss, the weather, the economy, the past, you'll start doing the same. You'll start believing that your life is out of your hand. You'll start settling. That's why you have to protect your circle. Be around people who challenge your excuses, not coddle them. Be around people who speak to your potential, not your limitations. Because when you're surrounded by action takers, excuses sound weak. You don't need another excuse. You need a new standard. A standard that says, I show up even when I'm tired. I follow through even when I don't feel like it. I take ownership of my life, regardless of what's happened to me. That kind of standard leaves no room for excuses. It demands your best even when your best feels out of reach. It forces you to rise, to stretch, to push past what you thought you could handle. The excuses don't just rob you of success. They rob you of self-respect. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, every time you back down from a goal and justify it, you lose a little trust in yourself. And over time, that creates doubt. It creates hesitation. You start wondering if you're even capable. But you are. You've just been letting excuses run the show. The way back is through discipline, through follow through action in the face of resistance. You got dreams. You got goals. You got that fire inside you that won't leave you alone. And the only thing standing in the way most of the time isn't some outside force. It's the excuses you're clinging to. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to call yourself out. Not to tear yourself down, but to build yourself up the right way. Because once you see the pattern, you can break it. Once you drop the excuses, you pick up the power that success is earned, not given. Nobody is handing out greatness. Nobody is coming to knock on your door and deliver your dream on a silver platter. That fantasy doesn't exist in the real world. What exists is effort, sweat, failure, growth, consistency, and sacrifice. Success is the result of what you do daily, not what you hope for, wish for talk about. You have to earn it with your work, your focus, your mindset, and your refusal to quit when things get hard. The problem is, we live in a time where everyone wants instant result. Everybody wants the shortcut, the secret, the fast track. They want to skip the grind and jump straight to the reward. But real success doesn't work that way. It's not a lottery ticket. It's not luck. It's a process. It's earned in the early mornings when no one's watching. It's earned in the late nights when no one is clapping. It's earned in the moments you keep pushing it, even though you have every reason to stop. Success doesn't care how bad you want it if you're not willing to work for it. Wanting it is not enough. You got to be about it. You got to put in the reps. You got to show up even when it's inconvenient. You got to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. And that's where most people get it wrong. They chase the feeling. But the ones who win chase the mission, they don't need to feel good to do the work. They just need to remember why they started. That you can't fake success. You can't cheat the process. You can't skip the fundamentals and expect long-term results. If you cut corners, you cut your own potential. If you want to win for real, you've got to be honest about where you're at and what you're doing. Are you really grinding or just going through the motions? Are you really putting in the time or just posting about it? Are you hungry or are you just talking like you are? Earning success means getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It means making choices most people won't make. While they sleep in, you're up working. While they're partying, you're building. While they're waiting, you're moving, you're sacrificing now for the life you want later. And that sacrifice is the price of admission. If you're not willing to pay that price, you're not serious about the goal. You got to stop expecting success to show up before the work is done. So many people do a little bit and expect a lot. They show up for a week and wonder why the results aren't there. But success is not impressed by your short bursts of effort. It respects the ones who show up daily, rain or shine, motivated or not. It rewards the people who keep showing up even when the payoff feels far away. Nobody owes you anything. That's the truth. Life doesn't care what you went through. It doesn't care what you think you deserve. It only gives you what you're willing to work for. That might sound harsh, but it's also empowering. Because if nobody owes you anything, that means you don't have to wait on anyone. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You just need work ethic, belief, and relentless effort. People love to romanticize the result, but they don't talk enough about the road. They see the athlete win the championship, but not the hours in the gym. They see the business owner succeed, but not the years of trial and error. They see the artist go viral, but not the 10 years of obscurity. The road to success is filled with frustration, repetition, setbacks, and doubt. But that's what makes it valuable. That's what makes it meaningful. If it were easy, everyone would aid, everyone would have it. There's confidence that comes from knowing you didn't skip steps. You didn't take shortcuts. You didn't take shortcuts. You paid in full. And that confidence, that's unshakable. Because when you earn something, you know how to repeat it. You know how to sustain it. That's the difference between a lucky moment and a lasting legacy. One comes from chance, the other comes from choice. That it's not about being the most talented. It's about being the most consistent. Talent is great, but if you don't have the discipline to back it up, it doesn't matter. The world is full of wasted potential. People with gifts who never got serious. People with skill who never developed character. You can have all the ability in the world, but if you're lazy, distracted, or uncommitted, you'll never tap into what's possible now. You don't get points for starting. You get results from finishing. Starting is easy. It's exciting. It's easy. It's exciting. It feels good. But finishing, that takes endurance. That takes showing up after the excitement wears off. That takes pushing past fear, fatigue, and failure. But that's where success is earned. In the middle, in the hard parts, in the stretch where most people give up. If you want success, you got to be willing to earn it every day. Not just once. Not just when it's convenient. Every day. You've got to earn the right to lead. Earn the trust. Earn the result. Earn the confidence. Earn the growth. You got to do what others won't so you can live how others can. It's not a one-time effort. It's a lifestyle, a mindset, a commitment that says, I'm all in. No matter what, your future doesn't respond to your complaints. It responds to your grind. Life doesn't shift because you vent your frustration. It doesn't bend to the sound of your anger or adjust to your bitterness. Life responds to action. It responds to focus. It responds to consistency. You can talk about what's wrong all day long, but until you get up and start changing it, your situation stays exactly the same. Complaining doesn't move the needle. Grinding does. The future you want won't come by accident. It comes by design. And that design is built through work. There are too many people waiting for their future to improve while sitting in the present doing nothing but pointing fingers. Blaming the boss, the system, the government, their family, their background, everything but themselves. But pointing out what's wrong won't make things right. You can't talk your way into a better life. You can only work your way into one. But you're not most people. You're the one who shows up. You're the one who stays in the gym when everyone else leaves. You're the one who keeps writing, studying, practicing, building day in and day out. You've got to start speaking the language of the grind. Not I wish, but I will. Not a one day, but a day one. Not I can't, but you must. You change your future by changing the words you use, the actions you take, and the standards you set. The grind isn't glamorous, but it's honest. It doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't make promises it can't keep. It just shows up and delivers results to those who do the work. The grind doesn't care about your past. It only listens to your present action. It doesn't care what happened to you. It only cares what you're doing about it now. The grind isn't biased. It gives to everyone in direct proportion to what they put in. If you show up for it, it'll show up for you. Not always on your timeline. Not always in the way you expect it, but always in a way that honors your effort. There's no secret to the grind. There's no hack. There's no shortcut. There's just showing up every day. No matter what, there's just doing the work. That's just pushing through the doubt, the fatigue, the fear, the rejection, and doing it again tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, it's not the one who complained the most who wins. It's the one who outworked the excuses. It's the one who said, this is mine, and backed it up with relentless effort. It's the one who didn't wait for permission or applause.